Hey, everybody. My name is Taw, and this is my friend Bryce. We are actually starting up a podcast, talking to each other about our friendship and what we've experienced throughout life. So we just thought you guys might want to join us. So here's my friend Bryce. He's all the way down in Texas, and I'm all the way up here in Utah. So we're pretty far apart from each other. Bryce, talk to us. Tell us about you.
Hello, everybody. I am Bryce Larson, and I am Taw's best friend. I mean, what else can I say? We've known each other for 15 plus years, and um, haven't been best friends, I would say, for the whole time of that. There's obviously been ups and downs, and we can definitely talk about
Oh,
that. But
definitely.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is good. Just to let everybody know, my name's Ta. So I grew up in a little town called Farmington for most of my life, and going up into like junior high, and that in junior high was kind of where Bryce and I really met for the very first time. And the funny thing is that at that time we were literally, what do you say, Bryce? Like a few houses away from each other, if not that, like maybe one or two houses away from each other for years before we even met each other. I actually was friends with a younger guy, uh, younger kid at the time, not a guy, uh, that uh, lived right across the street from Bryce, and um, that to me, like I said, was kind of the start of everything. But really, what it was is we became friends more towards junior high time period. Uh, we had like a little small group of guys that were together, and two girls that were with us, and we always would go and do stuff together. And so really that's what this podcast is about, is kind of those antics, those stories, and the banter back and forth between me and Bryce. And also, as we progress on in this podcast, or this video podcast for YouTube, um, we're really going to kind of go off of all what's going on in our lives too at the same time. Kind of catch up so you guys can see what's going on, and sometimes hear the funny stories of things that have happened throughout the week or the month. So kind of stay tuned for those kind of things. Make sure that you like and subscribe this video so that you can continue to follow us. And we're going to dive right in today and talk a little bit more about around about the time that we first met. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Bryce right now his first impressions of me, if he remembers them. I know that was quite some time ago. So yeah, so go ahead, Bryce.
Yeah, I do remember approximately the time that you moved into your house in Fruit Heights. So you had moved from Farmington, you had grown up in Farmington, and then you moved to where I was living in the city of Fruit Heights. And we had grown up going to the same church together.
Mm-hmm.
You were, I guess, technically in the older group. You're about a year older than I am. And so we didn't spend a lot of time and hanging out in the same social circles growing up. But I do remember I always made it a point to introduce myself to anyone new that was coming into the ward, into kind of our age group.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
we had gone on several campouts, Boy Scout camps and things like that. But as far as who we hung out with, I kind of had my little group of friends or whatever, and you kind of hung out with my older brother and your
Yeah.
older
Yep.
brother, and sort of that group.
You were with Spencer and, oh, who else? I'm trying to.
Spencer, so Ben Lyman, Michael Stone, um, yeah, Jake
We're calling you guys
Davis,
out on this podcast. So
Skylar
just FYI.
West.
Yeah, Skylar.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah. And
so kind of
I was more
that
with
age
like
group.
Jeff and Neil and Gary and Jordan and Mikey and those guys. Yeah, Trevor. So, which is funny because Trevor was actually closer to me than those guys were. So yeah, Trevor Johnson was. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So keep going. Sorry.
no, yeah. So that's kind of what I remember. But as far as us like becoming friends and really spending a lot of time together, I think that was, obviously junior high. And then more on in high school, I think, is where our friendship really kind of became solidified, and um, we spent a ton of time together. And
I totally agree on that one. Oh yeah, because we had it where we had uh, we had multiple groups of friends, which is really funny because if you think about it, we had like Bryce, and Mike, and then we moved on to
another
Carl and
Bryce
Morgan. Yeah,
Quintana, yeah,
Bryce Quintana, and then and we moved on to like Carl and Morgan and those guys, and then like the theater group people, and like it was just, and then we had the drumline people at one point, and like so
yeah.
there was definitely um it was funny how you and I actually were the most consistent out of everybody during that timeline. And so that's, I think, what really kind of made it where when we hit that age in high school, we kind of were just like, hey, you know what? Like, we're the only two that have really kept following each other. Um, like, this is definitely something more than just like, hey, bud, what's up down the hall kind of a thing going through high school. But yeah, Bryce, let me point this out to everybody out there. Bryce was a lot more popular than I was. I just rode his coattails. He's gonna
No
shake his
way,
head
no
no,
way.
but I'm telling you right now, like I rode his coattails through all of high school because he was the more popular guy, and so I just wanted to make sure that I was in with that crowd. And the thing is, like, there were times where I guarantee you they're like, "Hey, man, like Bryce, that guy that keeps following you around, what's his deal?" so, so that was
No
kind
way,
of
man.
a thing. So yeah,
I felt like you were way more outgoing than I was. I felt like it took me a long time to kind of figure out who I was, and
yeah.
my character, and yeah, I obviously I didn't understand high school. I didn't understand school in general about doing homework and getting good grades and stuff like that. I didn't figure that out until I went to college,
Right.
thankfully.
It's all right.
um,
I still haven't figured it
but
out, so we're good.
yeah, but I felt like you mentioned that you and I, we had stuck together through different
Yeah.
groups, through drumline, through theater, through junior high, through a whole variety of different characters and scenes and people and girls, um, and I
Oh, the
feel
girls.
like
Oh, the girls. Sorry.
we'll come back to
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
um, we I feel like the reason why you and I are such good friends is that we have equal amount of respect and care for each other. You had just mentioned, right before we started this podcast, this girl that you're dating, how she cares about you and follows up with you, and I feel like when you have that kind of relationship with each other, and you care about each other, and it's not one-sided where it's only one person that's reaching out. It's where you're
Yeah.
equally missing each other, is really where that friendship comes in. So
Right.
I feel like both you and I are willing to put in that effort, to keep this relationship going.
And this is very true. Like it is something that we've had moments for years where we've had to have those moments of respect and like caring about each other um, because of just so many things that people go through in their lives. And with Bryce and me, like it has been something akin to a brother, less of a best friend, kind of a thing like that. Because when you think about when people talk or sing or you see movies about brothers, what you end up seeing is like this camaraderie, this blood, like tied together kind of a thing. And we've definitely had those moments, and those are the things that we definitely have enough stories to be able to tell you guys going out. Uh, of those kind of moments. So you'll definitely hear those. But for tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about some night games, actually, Bryce, because that was like a big part of our childhood. And also a big part of I do remember that was my first real interactions with you and your family and like your brothers and sisters was the night games that we played. And so I kind of want to go off of that really quick and talk to you about those where we used to play them in the cul-de-sac with each other. And that was some of the best times of my life. Uh, where you just would stay out until the street light came on, and then even past that, and you would play, Ghost in the Graveyard or Tag, or you might know a little bit more about some of the things we played. So
Yeah, man. So a little bit of background on night games. We had so I grew up in a cul-de-sac, and we were pretty tight knit cul-de-sac. There was a bunch of kids that were all growing up, or relatively around the same ages in this cul-de-sac, and we didn't really do night games until my cousin, who was from California, came and stayed with us for a little
yeah,
while,
Sammy.
and she,
Yeah.
not Sammy,
Not Sammy? Oh,
no,
gosh. Sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong
was
cousin.
no, my aunt Evelyn,
Oh, Evelyn, yeah.
her
Okay.
daughter Brianna, came and stayed with us for a while, and she introduced us to the concept of night games. And it was pretty much from there that we started playing, Ghost in the Graveyard and Sardines and Tag, and we came up with our own versions of games. There was this game we called Whale, where basically it's kind of like you run back and forth between the sides of your driveway, and someone is the whale in the middle and tries to catch you as you run across and try to get to the other side of the driveway.
Let me clarify to
Yeah,
people, the fat kid was the whale in the middle.
no.
I'm kidding, and normally it was
It's
me.
it's whoever got caught.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's kind of where night games, at least in my mind, where they started, and kind of hanging out later. And definitely those are summer memories that we had, because
Right.
we grew up in Utah, so there's definitely seasons to it. But this was definitely a summer activity that we
Oh
would.
yeah, I don't remember ever playing night games during the winter time. What I want to do is I want to kind of shout out to the people who are watching the video. If you want to comment on here, like let us know what kind of night games you guys played, so that way we can kind of go through it. And what we'll do is we'll try to bring those up on one of our future podcasts. Some of the night games that you had. Let us know what ones they were, and we'll look them up and see what kind of weirdness you guys got into, like whales or whale.
Yeah. Were there any games that you guys made up that
Oh yeah,
nobody else ever played, but it was a really good memory that you've had that you used to play at night with your
totally,
friends?
totally. Yeah, one of the things I do remember is we would play. I cannot remember the name of the game. It was very similar to Ghosts in the Graveyards. And what we would do is everyone would just go and hide. And I remember the older boys, the ones that were a little bit older than us, they would climb trees like all the way up to the very top. And I might be even thinking about you because you definitely climb trees. But the thing is, like, so you would go off to go find them, and it was sardines, I think it was.
Yeah,
So, and the thing
sardines.
is, you can't really play sardines when somebody's all the way up to the top of a tree, and you can't get up there. And so I just remember that being something that these guys always used to do, and oh, that was some good times. It was also absolutely terrifying, um, for me specifically, because I had this as I was growing up, this irrational fear of the dark, and not like dark in your house dark, but like outside wild animals, like starry night, creepy crickets kind of a thing, and crackling footsteps through the trees
Well, if
kind of a
anyone grew
thing.
up in your house with your backyard and
Yeah,
the type of wild
yeah.
animals that came into your backyard, you can understand why.
Oh, totally, 100%. And the thing is, I never realized why I never understood why we never played night games in my backyard. But then I realize now why, because it was quite creepy. We had our own personal little forest in our backyard, and then an orchard right next to that forest that was even creepier at night. So that
Oh,
was definitely something that we like to do. But I do remember those kind of evenings and during the summers and stuff like that, but not so much during the winter. Um, so Bryce, when you have 4 children,
I
uh,
do. Four
and
kids.
four, yeah, four. You said five, four, or five. I can't remember. Oh no, I was like
Four.
four. I'm like, I swear you haven't
We're
had
done.
another one.
I promise. We're done.
You're done. Um, So you have 4 kids, and I want to kind of know from you, what what kind of things do you want to pass on? Do you want your kids? Do you want like Parker to be able to play those kind of night games and and experience those kind of things like how we experienced growing up?
Yeah, totally. So I've got 4 kids. They're relatively young. My oldest is 5 years old. He'll be starting school this coming fall. Pending pandemic
Oh,
stuff. But
fantastic pandemic. Yep.
yeah, so um, yeah, there's always sort of this thought in the back of your mind. You want to like make your kids have a good childhood, make good memories, and definitely the people and the kids that you hang out with definitely make those memories. We moved recently from Utah down to Texas for a job, and used to live in Sandy, Utah, and the community that we lived in had a bunch of little kids, and we would send our kids out, from dawn until dusk, hanging out at their friends' houses, and they just had fun and roamed the neighborhood and played with each other, and those were the kinds of memories that we were happy that they were making, and they had friends and they played all day. But now that we've moved here to Texas, it's kind of like we started from ground zero again. And so even just the other day, Parker, he's like, "Hey, Dad, can we go make some more friends?" And that kind of like breaks your heart a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, yeah,
You
definitely.
want them to be able to have those friends. I know that him starting school will be a good catalyst of him being able to get introduced to more people and to make new friends.
Right.
But I feel like we have landed in a really good spot. We've got 2 neighbors on the side of us that one neighbor has a little girl. She's around 3 years old, and on the other side we've got a little boy who's 5 years old,
Oh, so
and,
Parker's age,
and
yeah.
yeah, Parker's age. And so we've got some kids around us, and until this sickness blows over, or we get a vaccine, we'll be able to spend a lot more time and have barbecues and hang out in the backyards, and do whatever we need to do to make more memories for our kids.
Right. See, and my thing is like I growing up I realized that um stuff like night games, stuff like going out and playing with your friends, really helped me grow in that confidence level in myself. Being able to go and hide in this little dark corner and not get found by somebody, which sounds terrifying and terrible for most parents. But at the same time, like growing up, I, like as a child, I saw it as an opportunity to grow in confidence in my abilities, in my ways of making friendships and stuff like that. So it's the little things like that that can make it so that we make lasting memories. But also at the same time, like as an adult, I can go outside in the dark now and be perfectly fine. I have no problems. Like I'm good. Uh, because I grew up with that mentality of it's not a scary place. It's actually just it's the exact same as it was during the day. It's just it's just different lighting. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And so like I would be perfectly fine with going and standing in that spot during the day. Why wouldn't I do it at night? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things I really liked. And um, I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that this is something that Bryce and I have always wanted to do, this podcast, and are actually we've been wanting to do for quite some time, if anything, because
That's
we have so many stories to share with you, and we have so many stories that we like to bring up, and you guys wouldn't believe the amount of phone calls and video chats that we have where we just will go off about things that we remember and funny moments that come up. And at some point, Bryce will probably show you guys a picture of me in kabuki makeup, just for good kicks and giggles and a laugh. Um, and I'll have to show some embarrassing pictures of Bryce at some point.
please don't.
Uh, there aren't any. Yeah. So kind of just wanted to let you guys know this is us. So if you really liked what you saw today, definitely, like I said, go and subscribe. Follow us. Follow me. We're going to try to continue to do this as much as we possibly can for you. So yeah. Other than that, Bryce, do you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone watching and listening right now. It really means the world to us. And we're going to try to keep coming out with more episodes, more content. If you've got questions, please comment below. Add
Definitely.
your experience, your thoughts, maybe thoughts on how we can improve this or make this better. We're definitely open to suggestions. And thank you so much for checking us out.
Thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you guys on our next podcast. Hopefully, we'll have a name there for you so that you guys will be able to follow us a little bit better on that one. So, have a great evening, and we will talk to you guys later.